Happy Thursday, everybody. This is JoJo Bennington, and I am here with all of you beautiful ladies, and we are so excited. So let me just kind of give you some background of what empowering healthy women is all about around here. Me, and my gorgeous friend Lidy there on the screen got together and decided after a conversation that there were some spaces that we were lacking in our life, that we didn't have a space for women that were around us. Like we had a lot of co-ed spaces, and we had a lot of spaces where we were talking about some things, but not everything. And so really we created the space for us to be able to be together, to every Thursday have a little bit of a girl check-in. So for 30 minutes to spend some time together, talk about things that are important to us, from, I don't care what it is, from meals to menopause to mammograms, whatever. So that's what we're chatting about. But so every week, and if you are not a part of the Facebook page, please make sure that you are going to Empowering Healthy Women and joining up in the Facebook page so you can go back and hear any of the older every week. So I think we're on week 16. Is that crazy? 16 weeks that we've been doing this, and they're all recorded. Everything's in there. So if you want to go back and listen to any of them, there's some really great ones in there. I would recommend going back and listening to that and being a part of the community there. And so in the last couple of weeks, we have been talking about anxiety and how to chill and overwhelm and things like that. And so this week, in thinking about getting back to a more, we spent a lot of time brain-wise where we've been for the last couple of weeks. And so to get back to something that's a little bit more inner body and physical, I know that, we don't get together to talk about science and cell biology, but that's not very sexy. But in understanding really some of the processes that go on with our bodies at the cellular level as we're aging and as we're seeing crazy things happen in our life and diseases and all kinds of unpleasant processes take place, what we can really do to take hold of that. And so to understand, I know I'm going to say it wrong. Autophagy. Did I say it right? Yay, I said it right. Okay. To understand that, it could be your most favorite word after this is all over. And so Miss Lidy Flom, who is our one of our resident nutritionists who lectures and talks and speaks about all of this amazing things and really are helping people at a cellular level get back to health. And so Miss Lidy Flom, my friend and partner in this world, let's see, are you frozen on me? I think she's frozen. That's okay. We'll just hang out and chat for a minute while she rolls back around. Because I cannot unmute her, nor can I see her. She's having some internet issues. She might be in the snow. She's in, I don't know, is there still snow in Georgia? I don't know. I know there was a huge amount of snow the other day. So what, in learning really what's happening at the cellular level, and anybody who's been around the conversation of healthy aging and what happens as our bodies break down, the cell biology conversation is getting really intense. And it's not something that we've talked about a whole lot. It's not something they pop on the 6 o'clock news. They give you a little blip, but they don't tell you what we've been learning, which is about telomeres and DNA and how our bodies break down. And so let me see. Oh, hey, that's so not supposed to be on there in the background. See, let's see. I just want to share with you guys what. So autophagy, and like it took me. And it's something that I've known about, and I just never knew that it had this name. But it's the destruction of damaged or redundant cellular components occurring within the cell. So it's what happens as our body goes through this metabolic process, as our body tissue breaks down. And actually going through autophagy. So the process of starvation-induced autophagy actually can help with certain diseases. It's really interesting. So we have these, is Lidy, are you back there? Did I get her now? No? She's still out of here. What is going on with her? Lidy, if you want to try and call in, then we can hear you. We just won't be able to see you. That's okay. I know she's this really cool training all planned for you guys, so I really want you to hear it. We're going to have her dial in. Let's see if we can just hear her. So there's certain things, certain processes within the body that I keep feeling like she's there and then she's not. I like don't want to talk over her. That so when we add extra oxygen into the system, when we induce catalase enzyme, there's processes that we can do inside the body that are help when we're really breaking down cells. So we can see that as we're aging, no matter what, we get 40-year-olds in the room, we're all going to look different. 40-50-year-olds in the room, we're all aging differently. Everybody looks different. We could all be on the screen, be the exact same age, and we wouldn't be able to tell who was and who wasn't. And I just texted her over that, so let me see if we can. Is that her? Where'd she go? Okay, so sometimes technology is just a fail, and that's okay. So I just want to give her an opportunity, just because I know she spent so much time putting this together for everybody.
Jojo, she sent me all the numbers to sign on.
There you are.
I'm here. Oh my gosh.
So wow. We won't be able to see you, but at least we'll be able to hear you. So that's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's just say this. This is how we roll. Is it not? Okay. So I'm excited about being here. And first of all, I wanted to say I'm looking and researching an amazing, I think, phenomenon about another Nobel Prize winning research. But what I wanted to do by way of starting out this call tonight is to talk a little bit about a book that I read years ago. And somebody suggested that I would take a look at this book because it would help me understand something for the future. So I said, okay, I'll read this. And so the book is called The Divine Iliad. And in the front cover, it says that this book could not be published all at once, for such new thinking can be given only as new comprehension arising from it prepares the mind for stage after stage of deeper cosmic thinking. Also, it could not all be published immediately because many of the prophecies of events and scientific achievements for this new cycle of man have not yet taken place. And then it goes on to say that Genesis is inherent and genius, rather, is inherent in all men. So I started thinking about that today as I was going to prepare for this, and I thought, you know what, maybe we ought to just start by talking about what this book was preparing, I think, is for, is that basically that we are going to have continually scientific advancements, greater comprehension, and could we call it prophecies? Could you call it like we live in paradise? And we're going to have this garden in which we live in that's going to be unveiled to us to the point in which it is that we have great, I'm going to say, gratitude, a relationship with all of it, kind of like as we are as one, and that we can begin to understand what's going on and the power that lies within us at the same time. And knowing that our bodies are communicating on a level in which it is that it's beyond the degree in which it is that we could manage it in our so-called conscientious, conscientious thinking, like that we would have to be conscientious about everything going on. And we know that in order to be able to have our body functioning at that level, sometimes we have anxiety around just exactly what is going on. Why do I feel like I am in this place where I feel bloated, or I feel like I can't, pass on the debris fast enough? Why am I having this weight gain? Then where does that go? And then we learn things about what's going on by way of what our body is able to do with the removal processes. So how does your body remove the toxic waste? So as a result of that thought process, knowing that we originally knew that if we ate the food that we would eliminate it, and it would be urination and bowel elimination. And then we learned some things that took us to another level and said, well, gosh, if we don't part with it, the body still, has a mechanism to be able to remove it, and that would be it comes up. So we would have, toxicity, and some people say, well, I just got sick, I just vomited, or I just parted with that, whatever that was. And so I feel better. And then there's this third way that's actually, it finds its place to park, and it starts to park in the system. And we know that we have systems like the heart, the kidney, liver, spleen. We all have organs, and organs have a pump, but the lymphatic system does not have a pump. So we need to be moving our lymphatics, and subsequently that they can become the parking lot for, that's called lots of debris. And so as it is that we begin to think about how we are living and surviving today, and how the body is working, we know that the body has its antenna up all the time. And when it is that it receives food that is not living, it has its antenna up and says, wait a minute, we're going to slow down the metabolism. We're not going to digest this as quickly. And what's going to happen is that we're going to just know that we're not going to have real food for about 3 days. So we do binging, or, somehow that we have different patterns of eating behavior. It might be that we're missing a meal, it might be breakfast, and it might be that we eat late into the night, and so we don't eat until the next day by noontime. And our body has rhythms, right? It has patterns. It has to actually, it starts its circadian rhythm in the morning, and when we start the day, we break the fast. And if we're breaking the fast, that means that our body says, I need fuel. I need fuel. I need to start this engine. And as we go on the day, at 7 p.m., we kind of shut down. We feel cooler. Like, the temperature in the house is the same, but why is it we feel cooler? It's because our body is saying, I'm not going to, operate. I'm slowing down a little bit because I want to clean the house. We want to start detoxifying. So I'm going to give you some really, I think, pretty exciting news about a press release that came out back in 2016. And on September 22nd of 2016, a Japanese scientist, Yosunori Osumi, received what is called a Nobel Prize in physiology or medicine. And he discovered what is called the mechanisms of autophagy. It's spelled Autophagy. And it comes from a Greek word meaning auto, meaning self, and phagenin, meaning to eat. So it denotes, the word comes from self-eating. And it's a concept that emerged from a scientist back in the 1960s. And then as research began, they discovered that the body can actually destroy its own contents by enclosing it in membranes. and it forms what is called a sac-like vesicule. And that's what happens, is that it sees that it was able to assimilate, bring it into the cell. It utilizes it, and now it's waste. Just like we say bowel waste, that ends up in that system so that we can eliminate what is already used up. So our body has this amazing mechanism. We are burning calories when we're even sitting in a chair. Our body is manufacturing 60 million cells a minute, and that's a million a second. So there's lots of energy that's going on internally, and the body is basically doing a triathlon times what, 1,000, based on what we would have to try to accomplish that we would know. So here's the process. When this sac-like debris is then formulated, it actually sends it and transports it to a recycle compartment, and that's called the lysosome. And when that begins to happen, the degeneration of that debris is sort of, in a sense, could you call it like a reabsorption, and that some of whatever's left is extracted and then the body eliminates it. That's the new discovery that led to kind of the paradigm thinking about like how the body can actually take on a bacteria, a virus, a fungal invaders, if you will, and how it is that we can now begin to really accelerate what is called that healing process. We can accelerate the body's ability to go and work internally within the cells when we do what is called intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting basically begins a starvation process. And in that starvation process, it begins to put the energy towards the decomposing process, and so that it can be eliminated from the body. So I got to thinking a little bit about, a story that probably some of us know about. A gentleman called John Anderson. He was bit by a brown recluse spider, and he's a master formulator. This man is a genius. But one of the things that he discovered is that in order for him to be able to, let's call it, get in front of this challenge or to have victory over this challenge, that he had to actually have his body abort it faster or dissolve it, absorb it faster than it could spread. And so you could call that before it became a full-blown war. And when our body has invasion, it actually sends signals, and it sends, phagocytes and monocytes, and, it changes what we call our white blood cell level and our white blood cell count. And so we can actually measure it. But now that they have discovered that they can actually see what's really gone on inside these cells. So the lysosome, it was a discovery that happened in 1974 by a Belgian scientist. And so imagine, and this is what I was going to try to show you today, but imagine a little white molecule inside of your cells partnering up with this Autophagy. Oh gosh! Oh, all of a sudden I got the tongue tie, Jojo, on that. But so when we begin to understand that we have what is called this self-eating mechanism inside this body, it's all associated to enzymatic activity. So enzymes still are working within the body, and there's enzymes that do everything. In order for us to be able to think, we need enzymes. To be able to breathe, we need enzymes. To be able to see, we need enzymes. To be able to digest, we need enzymes. We need enzymes in our bloodstream in order to be able to have our blood flow. So all of the mechanisms that are going on in the body have an association to enzymatic activity. So as we put living food in our body, it gives it power. That power then sends the message and gives the body's function the highest ability to be able to go and destroy. So our cells have different compartments, and the lysosomes are then contain the enzymes for the digestion of the cellular contents. And that partners up with the, can we call it the membrane, the sac-like vesicles that hold the debris. So the lysosome partners with the sac and it goes to work. I'm hoping that that's somewhat clear. And so I'm going to tell you about a couple personal stories that happened for me. The first thing that I realized that when I was reading this, that I have what is called, about a year ago, I had a wisdom tooth pulled. And as I had this wisdom tooth pulled, every single time I go to the dentist, and this has been now going on for several, I was going to say probably 15 years, I've had an x-ray. And as they do the x-rays, they always look at this right side saying, the left side, saying that there's something going on over here. We need to take a look at this. And I said, I know every time I go, we have the same conversation. They said, and this lady says, it's serious. So she says, well, I'm going to tell you not to, alarm you, but it's serious enough that, we might have some bone related issues. And so I said, well, okay, I'm ready. Let's just go get that thing out of there, because it had already come through. So I have all 4 wisdom teeth coming through. And she said, but that one's critical. So we made the decision. I go and get the tooth to get pulled. And she says, the root is actually wrapped around the tooth in front of it. We have to take both of them. I said, okay, let's go for it. So when they pulled the tooth, and I was going to show you this picture, but they pulled the tooth, and what I saw and she saw was something very unusual. She said, I've never seen this before. And I said, so I need some explanation. What haven't you seen? She says, well, first of all, when you pull a tooth, that basically the tooth comes out clean, and that tooth did not come out clean. And that tooth has actually new tissue that actually is attached to it. And she said that your body is actually producing a new tissue, and it is literally pushing out what is called this attachment to this tooth. But she said something died, like your body is trying to abort this abnormal so-called, attachment to your tooth. And so we looked at the x-ray, and I was going to show you the x-ray, and you can vividly see this very fine sac-like vesicle around it, and it actually is encapsulating whatever this abnormal stuff is. It's like debris. We don't know what to call them. It was not, I didn't get a lab report, but she would not let me take it home. She said, we don't let people take their teeth home. But I believe that tooth was going to a lab to do some research. And so what happened is that I see it firsthand. And understanding that when you're given a report about anything that it's abnormal, I want to leave you maybe with a thought tonight, like your body's got this under control. But as it is that we do intermittent fasting, and that there are ways to be able to fast, we can do cellular cleansing and let your body, let's call it, reabsorb that or abort that debris quicker, so that you can give your body a break and regenerate cells, regenerate life within a cell. And as it is that we do that, that we're giving our body de-stressing mechanisms. And in order to de-stress a mechanism, we know that we have more energy, we have more vitality, And if you think that your energy is low, imagine for the holidays, imagine that you're eating some more fats, imagine you're eating some more sugars, imagine you're putting some more of these toxins in. Take a day or two. When you get to the second day, actually your body goes to work even faster and you begin to see some energy. But take 2 days and do that intermittent fasting, not just on water, but, give it some nutrients to be able to go and do that. I like to use a product that's called Cleanse for Life and, help my cells. It's a cellular cleansing product. So not just an organ, kidney, liver, spleen, colon cleansing. It's a cellular cleansing. So I wanted to put some thought into this whole conversation about like how it is that we need to protect our body. And then just maybe for fun, put out a thought about what we have by way of toxins. Where are these toxins? The toxins are yet in our food. It's in the air that we breathe. It's in the water we drink. It's even in the shower that we take. I'm just going to leave you with this thought this evening, that tests show that our body can absorb more toxic chlorine from a 10-minute shower than drinking 8 glasses of chlorinated water. So in 10 minutes, our body can take in more toxic waste than taking 8 glasses of water internally. So we inhale the chlorine, the vapors, we absorb them through our skin. They go directly into our bloodstream at a rate that's up to 6 times higher than drinking it. So maybe there's a thought tonight as you begin to think about cleansing, cellular cleansing, know that you can restore from the core. Jojo?
Wow. Okay. It's all so amazing. So I know that in adding extra oxygen into the system, there's some benefit with that also, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. And how it is that we can get oxygen into the cells has to do with the endothelial single cell membrane that's inside our artery walls as well. And so that assists with the delivery because our body can produce what is called a nitric oxide and be that in the carrier of the oxygen. So absolutely. Thank you, Jojo.
And I don't know if anybody's ever read the nitric oxide solution, but that's also an amazing book to add to your little library. So we only have, we're short on time and we got kind of short at the beginning. So if everybody will just kind of bear and give us like a couple extra minutes, that would be awesome. So Lidy, when we think about from step to step to step, so we have toxicity or debris or metabolic waste that's in the body. And then, so take me from that process from, okay, so now I have this waste and just kind of a step-by-step so we can visualize it, what happens. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. So there's 2 things that can happen in terms of cellular cleansing. First of all, cellular cleansing can basically give your body a shower on the inside like you take a shower on the outside. And it can actually open up your pores. So your cells have pores, receptor sites, just like your skin has pores, so do your cells. So as a result of that, that's how your body takes in nutrition. And then inside the cell, imagine it looks like a city. If you've never Googled it, Google up a picture of a cell, and you'll just be amazed. So imagine all the conversations going on inside. But when there's debris and something would be blocking something else, the body has this already innate nature, knowingness, knows exactly what to do with it, and it sends, let's call the production team out to go and encapsulate that after the debris is used. And imagine some of your pores are locked up. They cannot be eliminated fast enough. It's got a backup system. And the backup system is, let's get that thing trapped. Let's put it in its own compartment. And let's, send the enzymes over there. It already knows how to do this and dissolve that stuff. and then it can be reabsorbed into the body through that cell membrane. It can actually be reutilized and extracting more energy because enzymes can produce that, and then it's eliminated. So but when we're fasting, we're not putting in as much. We're letting the body utilize what's within the system. So it gives you a break so that you can actually detoxify. And so it puts the energy into not eating food, but it gives you energy into the elimination cycle. So back to no chewing, because you are actually activating the enzymes in your mouth when you chew things. When it is that you're fasting, you can suck on things, but you don't chew things because you're not waking up the body and say, hey, let's go to work, let's start digesting. It sends the wrong message. So the whole process of degeneration of this called toxicity and having the starving, the whole mechanism of the groundbreaking experiment that they did, the autophagy is the key point in which it is that they have discovered. So as long as we have the understanding that simultaneously the stimulated autophagy by the starving of the cells is what's happening, then the degeneration will happen because the enzymes have been activated. Complicated, maybe, but you just start thinking about it.
You know what it is, but it's also very simple if you look at the step-by-step thing that happens. I think that that's a really great explanation of understanding just how it gets encapsulated, reabsorbed, and then it's able to be eliminated. And the process that enables that to happen is the intermittent fasting. So what we've been doing for, especially with what I've been doing for the last 12 years with fasting, this is a completely different side effect, a positive side effect that I never knew was taking place as I was doing that. And even more reason to do 2 days versus 1 day. And so when we look at that, and it's fascinating. And there's so many, this has just created a whole new research project for me. And I'm such a research geek. So,
Jojo?
Yes.
Maybe I can add just a thought. Exactly what you're saying is that there is a central function in all living cells. And might this be a thought? In some of the research, it said that the cell therefore appeared to have a strategy for delivering large cargo to the lysosome. And the lysosome was discovered back in 1974 and Nobel Prize. And that's all they knew, that basically here was this lysosome that had to now attach to the autophagy, the trapped debris. So it basically is like there's these enzymes that had to be partnered up with that so that it could actually do the self-eating process. And that's what they discovered. So
we're, in simple terms, and I think we kind of, and I definitely have a better visual. I hope everyone else does too. Does that help everyone? But to think about not only doing an intermittent fast, but on top of that, increasing the oxygen in the system through increasing nitric oxide, and then also adding in extra enzymes. And so actually, when we're working with the enzymes that we work with that are so great and helping to increase the catalase enzyme, all of those things are just going to work in such good conjunction with that intermittent fast. And so for anybody who doesn't, we work with great products, and, we could talk all day about those, but just understanding that why those things are in place, it's a completely different scenario now than what we thought of before. So just to have another piece of the puzzle to add into why our health improves so much and why things happen when we take these steps. So I think it was perfect. And we will post up the pictures of the processes so you guys can actually see them for yourself, and we'll get them posted in the page. So if you're not in there or you need them in a different way, then reach out to Lidy or I, and we will get you the images. And so thank you all for being on. I know we went over time, and I appreciate your patience with our bad technology. And so my little small interpretation in the beginning, wow, that grew to a big, huge tree, right? So how it works. But thank you, Lidy. That was really, really, really fascinating stuff that we can now add to our add to our thought process when we understand why we're cleansing and doing the things that we're doing with nitric oxide and enzymes. So
Jojo, might
yes,
I just have a thought here? Imagine somebody already having the intuition to know how to formulate. To know how to formulate is like what I have a huge appreciation for. And then I realized that, the whole oxygen conversation, that was Nobel Prize, and that's, with the answer to cancer, Dr. Otto Warburg in 1923, Nobel Prize. And, looking at it from where we are today, in 1998, nitric oxide was discovered. But he said it was hypoxia, lack of oxygen, in 23. Then in 1998, this discovery of this gas, nitric oxide, was discovered, and that it is a signaling molecule. So all these pieces are communicating, we're understanding and appreciating the dynamics of who we are. And then telomeres, the research of that took place in the 90s. And as a result of that, 2009, it became Nobel Prize. And then we can talk about this cleansing, and we can talk about this whole research of the autophagy and how the body actually takes on decomposing and detoxifying in its own innate nature. And the research was done back in the 50s and then in the 60s and then 70s. And now all of a sudden in 2016, we have this aha epiphany of what connects with what. The lysosome connects with the autophagy, the so-called sac with all the garbage, and it begins to decompose it. And that can be accelerated through intermittent fasting. That's what I think is exciting. So one phenomenon builds on to the next phenomenon, and therefore kind of the dawn of a new day of awakening, kind of like in human relations, like what is going on within us, to have a greater appreciation for how our bodies are communicating and relating from moment to moment.
No question. It's an entirely different conversation than what we've been having for a long period of time. And so to be able to incorporate that in, I think is just really valuable. And I'm sad there's only a few people with us tonight, so hopefully everybody goes back and listens to the recording. Thank you so much, Lidy, for bringing that to light for us. And I know that we will all be definitely doing some more research on that. And I posted some of that up, but we'll get the information posted up so you guys can actually see that and do some reading and stuff on your own. And so thank all you ladies for being here. And even though Lidy can't see us, let's blow her a big kiss and say thank you. And
love you all.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you, Lidy.